Okay, hope this thing is recording and that everything sounds good. I got a new setup and yeah, we are back in action here. Recording a little Play and Explain here on Global Poker. Um, so I guess we'll get right into it. Versus 3x, this is close. I think since this guy is a weaker player, like this hand is a winning call. But I think Queen 4 is actually like no, I might be wrong about that. So goes check check. Um, I think it's worth either hmm. Yeah, you'd want to put this into like a big bet because you have like good removal, and I think that that'll actually be quite effective versus this player type. Here, you can do pretty much anything. I think from these positions you can bet quite a lot. Um, and betting for this size is decent. This turn card, he's able to donk quite a bit. So when he checks, like it's also a weaker player, I'm assuming that he's going to range check. Um, this is a pretty passive regular, so I'm gonna overlimp here and check this one back. Check, and then if he checks again here, um, yeah. So now I have an easy fold, but in a case where he checks, um, this would be a nice river to attack. And then facing a one big blind donk from this player on this board texture seems like a straightforward spot to fold, even though I will say that that player does a lot of interesting stuff. Here we will flat the king queen. Or, yeah, might want to range dunk this. Um, yeah, I think this is worth donking because I have a lot of 7-6 offsuit that he will never have. And then on this type of turn, speculative whether or not I'd want to keep applying pressure. I think these cards I'd rather just clean up the outs, like get ace queen, ace king to fold. Um, so when he snap calls, like I imagine pairs deliberate a little bit about raising. So it's just a lot of high cards. Uh, that's at least my perception. I feel a little bit rusty, pre-flop, post-flop, everything. I haven't really been in the study streets as hard as I would like to be because I'm getting over a little bit of a sickness here. I don't know these players, so I'm not going to open the King 7 offsuit here. Um, but yeah, I I definitely don't feel as sharp as I did when I was playing every day. But it could be a good thing. I mean, taking some time away is like gives you the ability to open up some of those neuro pathways. Here, I'd love to mix this board, but versus a weaker player who's calling a bit too wide, uh, betting quite aggressively is good. Um, and yeah, they have a tough time like defending this board, but when my opponent min raises me, there's not really much I can do with my hand. It's quite close. This is like the type of hand that he puts in a miserable spot when he min clicks. So goes check check. Here I'm gonna check again and through betting the pocket nines here. Um, you can make an argument to probe small. I think probing small is actually a decent strategy. Jack 5-3. Once again, from earlier positions, 3-bet pot. Yeah, we're gonna bet one big blind because this guy is AFK or something. Uh, um, so we'll just continue. This will value hands like lower pairs, some ace high, etc. Yeah, it seems like, I mean, these games do move quite fast, but it seems like I am definitely, um, what do I want to do versus a player? I have no reads on this guy, but he says that he claims that he's lazy, so maybe that means he's not going to check raises aggressively. Let's roll for it. Let me check back. This probe size. I don't know too much about monotone flops, um, but what I can sort of anticipate is that uh, this is a little bit too weak of a size. So I think raising can be quite effective, and then blasting a lot of rivers. I would say like non-club rivers are probably best to continue barreling, but you know, king queen offsuit, yes, a little bit out of line, but um, if I see like if I'm seeing like just an unknown like unknown lazy player, right? Um, snap betting, you know, B40 or whatever that size was. I assume that it's probably not including some of the strongest hands and probably more straightforward bet tailored to the strength of his hand. Um, so raising aggressively versus that type of range seems pretty strong, or seems like a good idea. Even versus someone who like completely readless against. Um, so with my new setup, I'm probably gonna do some like I don't know. I want to kind of get this plain explain video out, so it'll be like the same format, but I have the ability to do some video editing that I hadn't been able to do before. So that is something I'm looking forward to quite a bit. Ace 10 suited here is I'm playing this as a oh man, I'm that rusty. I'm playing this almost as a pure call, I'm pretty sure. Um from these positions. But I could totally be wrong here. Um 10 big blinds. Yeah, so we're gonna four bet this one, and then versus this block size, we could raise or we could call. I think I like I think I like calling. I mean, sorry. Uh, the reason being, like, I'm just dominating a lot of hands, and then here, um, facing, I don't know. We'll have to see what my opponent does, but this type of turn may pacify them quite a bit. And then nine of diamonds river, so yeah, it's close. So this range is like a lot of smaller pairs, and then like ace high. So if I'm not really anticipating a lot of bluff, but so I think just using a smaller size um, probably captures more EV versus the exact types of hands that I think he has. But obviously, this would mix into much larger sizes as well, and like you would even play maybe some all-in sizes. But I think for this sake of this situation, just blocking is fine. Like the range is pretty weak. Um, yeah, like you wouldn't always block there, right? You would want to mix. Okay, so versus a cold caller, I basically, you know, I recognize that the strategy is not to really bet that frequently, but um, these types of ranges are mainly pocket pairs, so pressuring them is like generally pretty good. Pressuring like the fives region, uh, this is not really the best turn in that sense. And here, betting half pot. Whoops, not 10x pot. Yeah, so we're just gonna bet quite large. Pressure a 10, pressure some pocket eights, pocket sevens type stuff. Um, may even be able to use a smaller size exploitatively, but I like my line quite a bit. Okay, so check, half pot, call, turn, check, check, river, half pot. Yeah, so I'm never folding here. And he flats ace king, which is actually pretty reasonable from these positions. So short stack, but maybe at the stack depth it's not so reasonable actually, but at 100 bigs, definitely uh, having to flat some ace king versus low jack. And then with this guy calling, hmm, I'm gonna call this time. But I'm very like I'm constantly being enticed to squeeze in these types of spots. Here we flop top set. Um, yeah, I think it's worth betting. Just putting it to a small size. And this is pretty close actually. Um, I'm just gonna fold this because I have pretty gonna check this back. I think this is like one of the few hands that like the removal is so strong in this with this hand that like yeah the blocking range is quietly weak. So I'm gonna use a pot size. Um, hopefully get a call from like tens, eights, sevens. Not to be like totally targeting like certain hands, but um, you'd want to play some raises. Pot size maybe smaller as well. Um, so you're basically raising a jack here. That is check back the turn. But I'm not exactly sure how often you're supposed to check back pocket jacks there. I think the whole idea is that like you're when you're in position, you're basically like you're responsible for putting the money in. Um, but in a situation where like that, where you're hard blocking so much of the calling your opponent's calling range or continues, it's uh it's okay to mix it into the check, or it starts to play like differently. So then versus the size, this hand does mix on 13. I will call King H4. Yeah, this is we're pretty fucked on, and I have a hand that's like pretty like not loving set of bet. Um, I'm definitely allowed to overfold, and yeah, this hand will be a fold for sure. In a world where I could donk that hand and get away with it, I would. But I'm not sure how much sense that makes actually. Um, and then here, getting through that, we're gonna go ahead and fold. Yeah, sorry for the coughing. I'm still getting over a little bit of sickness, like I mentioned earlier. Oh. So I'll probably go for like 5 more minutes, um, and run through the video. We'll break down a couple of the hands in GTOW, see where I was making some sort of mistake or anything like that. Um, and yeah, there'll be a video, and hopefully the next time I upload, um, we'll have like a brand new format that will be uh, more engaging or fun to watch at least. This hand would mix, but versus a fish at this deck depth would prefer nice. So I should probably raise or three bet smaller. But yeah, definitely come there and then here. Oh, we got a couple spots actually. We're going to squeeze this. Um, call, and then here. Um, yeah, I think I like three betting, and then I have to fold there. And we'll just keep on uh, three betting this guy. Is this out of line? Absolutely. But I mean, yeah, that's unfortunate he's doing that. But if we know our opponent is playing this type of way, like they're just having humongous leaks in like in terms of like making it into the check line there, for instance. Now that we know he's doing stuff like that is uh, is very good. Like the EV of all your hands pretty much skyrockets. Um, so it's um it's good to note those things even if they are like a weaker like a recreational player. Like you take notes of their tendencies and it makes playing against them. You know, it makes it a little bit easier to play against them. So, and I'm sure like some of the stuff I'm talking about right now is like very simple to you guys, but I'm just explaining my thinking like when I see this type of stuff. Um, it's not always like super straightforward for me. Um, like I kind of have to like talk it out. One thing that I've been working on a lot actually is like seeing how like just looking at some uh some GTOW solutions where all of them are pretty much splitting sizes on the flop. Um, so it's okay. Yeah, it's difficult to like I don't personally play split sizes like that, but and okay versus actually this stack depth this might be okay, but I'm still gonna defend this versus a min. Um, so yeah, and no, this is actually regular. Here we can bet small and pressure a lot of hands. Um, should we like range stab? No. Um, but the idea of like me stabbing this hand here is that like we just watched this opponent donk jam like some 10 high board pretty short. So like they may just be clicking around. But they could also just be putting a lot of strong hands into like this donking strategy. Um, and there's generally I think fish are doing that. So like when they check, it's going to be weaker. Um, I really forgot what I was ranting about actually. I think it was just talking about like splitting the flop and it of like everyone like it's obvious to most people that it makes a difference. Like it's okay, the game tree is larger because you're playing more. You know, you're playing with more bet sizes on the flop, right? So it's like you have the option to do more things on the flop, and then it grows exponentially from there. Um, but another idea behind splitting sizes is like you have certain hands that are built around a certain size, and like those hands might play the turn a certain way as well that like you don't really anticipate. So it's like, um, whoops, I'm just betting one big one here. I don't think that's really that bad with my hand, but if I had more time, I would have sort of explained my thinking on that type of board. So we're at the 21-minute mark. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Uh, Probably I'll sit up here and then let's go on here. We'll play a couple more hands here. On the one table, I have no time bank. Um, Here will be 50. I'm not sure what the exact. I'm sure like I think basically most boards, low jack versus big blind, single raise pots, you play like just some tremendous mix of sizes. So you could really land on any one size and it'd be okay. Here it's quite close. I think this bet size, like the reason I didn't really prefer to use this size is because I think it's generating a little bit too much folds. Um, and then obviously we have the nuts here. So I'm just gonna put this into a B75 and pretend like I have tons and tons of bluffs. You could bet larger, but I would like to simplify with this size in a lot of these types of spots. Like you want to value bet hands that aren't only the ace of hearts there, right? So that board might actually be specifically that board might be interesting, and that'll be the spot we look up after this. Specifically, that spot might be interesting because you can make a straight flush. So like I'm sure there's some like fucking like weird stuff going um on the river there, but we will dig in a little bit deeper after after I wrap things up here. So sitting down on all these tables, yeah, I will be right back with some GTOW analysis.